The Europa Transporter is designed specifically for the aircraft, giving a totally integrated transport system. Easily hitched to any car, the aircraft is protected, whilst also enabling the navigation of narrow, windy roads. The Europa will run quite happily on avgas, leaded or unleaded fuel. The positioning of the fuel tank in the fuselage means there's no need to drain the wings when de-rigging. Any spills simply run off onto the floor, not into the cockpit. As you drive off, bear in mind that the same unleaded you fill your car up with could be returning 50 miles to the gallon in the Europa. Why drive further than you have to? The Europa rigs in under 5 minutes. The transporter supports the aircraft by the use of 4 pins. The wings simply slide out of their travel supports and are mated within the fuselage, a process easily carried out by just 2 people. All controls are self-connecting. No special tools are required. Just 6 special pins are used. The tailplane works on the same principle and uses 2 of the 6 pins. There are several stowage areas in the Europa, easily accessible in flight, for maps and snacks. Even the instrument panel has a flat tray, allowing drinks to be kept upright. The baggage area is large enough to make this a true touring aircraft in all respects. An ability to carry clothes, sleeping bags, and a tent is no problem. Depending on the center of gravity, a load of up to 100 pounds is possible. Also, the pre-molded instrument panel has plenty of space for a full IFR fit. The Europa has true stall performance. In less than 200 meters, you could be airborne from an unprepared farmer's strip. That nearest airfield has just got a lot closer. To enable the Europa to have a fast, efficient cruise, it needed to have a high wing loading and sleek airframe. But for stall performance from a farmer's strip, big wheels and large wings were preferable. To provide the best of both worlds, the Europa incorporates 2 major innovations. Firstly, the single Tundra tyre easily levels out the bumps and holes on most fields and has minimal rolling resistance even on wet grass. In flight, the main wheel simply retracts into a large armrest between pilot and passenger. Even the stabilizers retract. Secondly, the Europa has a very sophisticated laminar flow wing design that gives low drag in the cruise. But with the deployment of powerful slotted flaps, very high lift is attained, enabling slow takeoff and landing speeds, thus giving exceptional stall performance. For pilots who prefer a more conventional aircraft, the fixed tricycle gear version of the Europa was developed. The ground handling during takeoff and landing is much more straightforward. Once airborne, the tri-gear enjoys the same delightful handling qualities as its mono-wheeled sister. The motor glider is a natural development to the Europa family. The sleek, low-drag fuselage with retractable mono-wheel was an excellent starting point. A new high-aspect ratio wing with laminar flow airfoil has been designed by Don Dykins to specifically meet the requirements of the motor glider. One of the requirements was for the wing to work with the existing tailplane, fin and rudder, so that Europa pilots could literally choose on the day which wings to fly. Both wings are totally interchangeable. It takes only minutes to replace the standard wings with the high aspect ratio glider wings. A 27:1 glide ratio means that quite weak thermals can be used successfully. Powerful trailing edge air brakes are used to give accurate control of the approach to landing. The reliable Rotax engines give instant restart at the touch of a button. The motor glider can comfortably cruise at 120 knots with an economy range of over 1,000 miles. A positive stability profile and light, well-harmonized controls ensure that the motor glider is a joy to fly, hour after hour after hour. A whole new world is opened up with the introduction of the motor glider for those who simply want to enjoy the sky. Don Dykins is one of the world's foremost aerodynamicists. He has 40 years' experience at British Aerospace and was chief aerodynamicist on the European Airbus wing design.
It is technologically advanced in as far as it uses the latest ideas in terms of aerodynamics on wing section design. Most of the modern technology has been aimed at higher Mach number civil aircraft, jets in other words, which fly at Mach numbers of 0.8. This is the first time this has been applied to a light aircraft. Ivan wanted these things applied to a total concept, and therefore to come out with something that's absolutely top efficiency in terms of aerodynamics, but at the same time has the simplicity that is necessary for a home-build kit aircraft, and something that's very simple to fly and to maintain, to make sure that the whole range of pilots who are going to want to fly this aeroplane are able to do so with reasonable safety. That has been the aim.
Strength to weight ratio was a very important factor. A smooth airframe was desirable and a material that was user-friendly for the first-time builder essential. Enter Barry Mellors, who has been working in aircraft composite structures for over 25 years. He acted as consultant to the Europa project and still works very closely with the company.
The use of composites on the Europa is primarily to improve the aerodynamic performance. The use of composites give you a smooth, clean skin, no rivets, no joints, and that helps the performance when you come to flying. It improves the aerodynamic flow of the control. He's going to get an aeroplane from composites which will last him a long time. There is no fatigue damage, there's no corrosion, it's very resistant to abrasion. All the things that a metal aeroplane gives you, a composite can avoid. You've got to realise that a glass fibre composite is in fact much stronger than aluminium. It's as strong as steel, it is less stiff than steel, so you've got to design for stiffness as well as strength.
In experienced hands, the Europa is superb for basic aerobatic manoeuvres. The aircraft's handling characteristics was a very important consideration in its design. A positive stability profile with controls that stay effective right down to the stall were desirable.
One of the aims of Europa was to produce an aircraft that one didn't have to be a fighter pilot to handle safely. We wanted an aircraft that met or exceeded certified requirements in terms of stability and control. The Europa's been thoroughly tested. We've tested the materials, we've done some impromptu tests on fuel tanks. We have conducted a professional flight test program at all CGs, looking at performance, looking at handling, and looking at stalls and departure. In fact, it's been very, very thoroughly tested, even up to 12-turn spin on the left and right.
In spin, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4,000 feet, 12, opposite rudder, stick forward. 3/4 of a turn to recover that time, no problems.
No specialist tools or knowledge of composites are required, and money and time doesn't have to be spent on creating jigs and making fittings. Currently, builders range from military fighter pilots through to student pilots. John Chai has been flying for over 30 years